He informed him that the news about him had already spread through the palace and that a message would come from the capital looking for him. Unfortunately, Kyril couldn't inform the Imperial Palace about his origin, so he was considering sending Tyron and Randall in instead. He replied that it was fine with him. Kyril thanked him for his understanding and told him that in exchange he could ask for anything he wanted. He requested a passing permit, surprising Kyril. Kyril asked if it meant that he wanted to leave the mansion, and he confirmed it. Kyril inquired if he didn't like living there or if he was disappointed. He clarified that it was not the case and explained that he simply wanted to see a wider world. He understood that gaining freedom was crucial for him to be involved in future events. Kyril informed him that if that was what he wanted, he could have it, and showed him a stamp. He explained that it was a stamp given only to those who carried a mission from him, allowing them to pass all the Empire's checkpoints. However, his identity could not be known. Kyril apologized for not being able to give him credit for his hard work, but he expressed that it should be more than enough for him. Suddenly, someone shouted to Kyril, informing him about a big problem. The man told him that the prisoner had killed himself, leaving Kyril shocked. He asked the man to repeat what he had said, but Kyril simply smiled. The man explained that he found dwarf ginseng next to the prisoner's body and had searched the body himself multiple times. He apologized, and Kyril all told him not to be too hard on himself, acknowledging that it was hard to believe he made a mistake. The man informed Kyril that they were in a difficult situation and that representatives from the Imperial Court would arrive soon. He also reminded Kyril that this was supposed to be his first official duty. Kyril replied that the important part was not that, but rather they would likely be reprimanded for not properly managing the prisoner. Looking at the corpse, Kyril all knew that it was a situation where those who deserve recognition were being overlooked, and he found it liberating. He informed the man that regardless, it was highly likely that the first prince's faction would seize the opportunity to attack them. Later, he gazed out of the window, knowing that Prince Ruan wouldn't let this incident slide. He thought of Prince Ruan as a snake who would use the incident to criticize their father, despite their father being one of the 5 sword masters on the continent and a symbol of the empire. To the first prince who craved the throne, their father was merely an obstacle from the opposing faction, ready to strike at any opportunity. Recalling correctly, he knew that their father's expedition would last about a year, and they should be safe from Prince Ruan during that time. He realized it was his chance to find other spies from the Lorien Empire and prepare counter-evidence. He decided that it was time for him to leave that place for real. Later, he entered Einery and searched for other relics that Kashir might have hidden. However, he ended up leaving empty-handed, thinking that perhaps Kai had truly left only the heart of the dragon. He felt grateful to Kashir because thanks to him he had a new life, and with the power given to him, he would change the world. Suddenly his sword emitted a radiant magical light and flew towards a piece of paper on the ground, leaving him confused. He picked it up, wondering if it was reacting to his magic. Upon opening it, he realized it was the paper that had been inside the box where he found the heart of the dragon. The paper read, "If you fear death, give up your search," making him wonder if it could be the key. Suddenly, the paper floated in the air, surprising him, and then tore into pieces with the words floating in the air. He realized it was reacting to his magic. The words whirled around him, and he marveled at Kai, because it meant that Kai had hidden something more. The letter addressed him as a stranger and welcomed him. Tai wrote that only the one who had seized the power within the heart of the dragon and had mastered the dragon tongue magic could trigger his magic. Kai referred to him as the greedy one who had returned there, and he seemed to appreciate people of his kind. He gripped his sword, realizing it was a doubly hidden treasure and that he had fulfilled such strict conditions. Kai told him that dragon's magic was pure magic, a power that no one else possessed, even something Kai couldn't attain. How he would develop that power was something only he would know, and he should naturally use his magic in the way he was most familiar with. He replied that he had chosen the sword, but Kai told him to remember that the things he was most awkward with would lead him to the ultimate truth, leaving him wondering what Kai meant by that. The magic inside him emerged from his hand, and Kai confirmed that it was magic. Then Kai revealed that he had another gift for him. The shelf opened, revealing a chest full of gold, as Kai explained that he would offer him a little help since he had made it that far. He reached out to grab the snake bracelet, but it suddenly came to life and opened its mouth toward him. Startled, he pulled his hand back, but the snake bracelet merely coiled around his hand without causing harm. Tai informed him that it was the bracelet of greed, a bracelet that drained magic. While it would be a cursed item for normal people, it was not the case for him. Someone behind him remarked that he was lucky, making him turn around. It was Kai who told him that without the bracelet he would not be able to control the surging magic blood, and he would probably explode and die within a month. Kai congratulated him on receiving his gift before his impending death. He was shocked to hear that, but Kai added that he was the only human who had ever reached the 8th class, but he attained the heart of the dragon, something even Kai couldn't achieve. Kai also told him not to be satisfied with just then, and to surpass him as the one who had survived even after consuming the heart of the dragon. He should ascend greedily and reach the peak that no one else could. Kai emphasized that he should revel in his power, and that he was now more valuable than anyone else. He assured him that he was free. Then Kai asked if he was content being a loyal servant to a king, or if he was satisfied with being a noble who managed a small city. Kai encouraged him not to be under anyone's control, and declared that he, the one who had acquired Kaiashir's treasure, should do as he pleased. He laughed awkwardly, wondering if he should take up the trust to become a knight of the Empire once more, alter history, and if he truly wished to even kill his closest friend in the process. He knew he possessed the power of a dragon, but he was still trying to fight while tied to the Empire. He shouted that he didn't need to do it, and that he possessed an immense power. Touching his hair, he realized that he had finally understood, and that he just needed to do what he wanted to make the entire Empire recognize him. He slowly changed his hair color to blonde, his eyes to blue, completely transforming his appearance from an immigrant to an outsider. He decided that in a world divided between outsiders and imperial citizens, he would overturn everything. He also promised Oliver that the day they met again he wouldn't kneel before him, but meet him with an equal gaze. Stepping out of Inery, he told Kai that he was right and that he wouldn't be under anyone's control from now on. Meanwhile, in the Grand Imperial Garden, there was a man who approached Bryn and asked for his opinion on a matter. Bryn Einek, the Prime Minister of the Empire, replied that he believed it was too early to judge because there wasn't enough information. Yet Bryn also spoke to Ruan Stellan, the Crown Prince of the Empire, and expressed his concern about their spy's death. He emphasized that negligent officials should be held accountable. Ruan was surprised by the aggressive move from the Lorien Empire, especially since it occurred in the territory of the Imperial Sword of Kyril McGyver. Brain explained that the Lorien Empire saw their own empire as a threat and expected such a move. He added that their empire had made many enemies and was considered the loser of the continent, leaving them with no choice but to deal with the situation. Wherein suggested investigating if the incident was related to the southern kingdoms of Astan, Travanel, Penria, or even the 3 kingdoms in the east. Ruan took on the responsibility of handling the situation to divert the conversation. He mentioned hearing that their spy had been caught by a child. Bryn responded that the child in question was Krul's newest pupil, who was only 12 years old, remarking that it was impressive. Bryn also noted that it was remarkable for Krul to have taken in such a talented child, but it was unfortunate that the child had different aspirations. He suggested that if they could gain the child's cooperation early on, they could easily make him one of their own. Ruan agreed, mentioning that not all children followed their fathers, will just like them. However, Bryn said something strange about the situation, and Ruan asked what it was. Bryn revealed that the 6th son of the Viscount who caught the spy was not currently at his mansion. He asked Bryn if the palace had taken him in before Bryn could respond. Someone called out to Ruan, making him angry. It was Oliver Stellan, the second prince of the Empire, who had come to pay his respects. Reuben expressed his disinterest in such formalities, stating that they had never cared about them before. Oliver informed Ruan that it seemed the palace would be empty for a while, prompting Ruan to ask him what he wanted. Ruan then assured Oliver that he enjoyed wandering around outside, and that he shouldn't worry about whether he was with or without him. He reassured Oliver that the palace had been peaceful so far and would continue to be. Oliver was momentarily speechless before asking if Ruan knew about someone called the Slave King. Ruan explained that the Slave King was a man who helped slaves and immigrants escape a few years ago, and his activities had intensified after the heretic extermination order. He also mentioned that calling the FIFA King was ridiculous. Oliver agreed, but surprised Ruan by stating that the man had recently been caught. Ruan was surprised because the man was never been caught before. Oliver informed Ruan that Vikant Haroon had arrested the man, and he had been lucky. Ruan questioned why he should know such trivial things, to which Oliver replied that he simply wanted to share the news and thought Ruan should know too. Ruan, now angry, asked if Oliver intended to visit the Slave King and told him it was pointless. He insisted that Oliver was wasting his time, and if he was done, he should leave. Oliver responded that he would leave. Then he smiled, feeling accomplished. Meanwhile, Kyril was riding his horse somewhere, and he decided to take a quick break. He sat down and drank some water, knowing he was close to the edge of the Manhwa territory. He realized there might be some commotion due to his disappearance, but believed it didn't hold much significance. He understood he had to keep moving forward. His first goal was to gather evidence of Lorien Empire spies within the next 6 months. His second goal was to learn advanced magic. He acknowledged that the magic book and Inuri only contained low-level spells, and although he hadn't fully tapped into his magic blood veins, he could still use magic thanks to his bracelet. However, he needed to find a proper place to study advanced magic. He recalled the Ivory Tower of the Dawn Society, closely associated with the royal family, and the Immortal Antiquarian Grand Library, focused solely on magic. However, he knew both places restricted access to their own members. He shook his head, realizing he couldn't do anything about it. Suddenly, a thought struck him, and he realized there was one more place, the lair of his former comrade's Platinum Dragon, Nar Diamog. However, he understood it was too far away, and Nardai was still asleep. Moreover, the guards protecting the lair were too formidable for him. Therefore, his top priority was to improve his skills and build his power. The place he was heading to now would serve as his stepping stone, the Free City, the only city on the continent without a king. Eventually, he arrived at the port city of Pesta, where he witnessed a bustling scene of people trading goods in the port. He acknowledged that if it weren't for his success in defeating the goblins earlier, the place might have been destroyed. He overheard a man talking excitedly to his friend, sharing that they had secured a contract to supply the knights who had arrived, relieving their business worries. For a while, the friend asked about the knights' identity. The man replied that they were from the Rhynites. Surprising the friend, the Rhynites were responsible for guarding the eastern border of the empire, and news of the conspiracy in the Lorien Empire had only broken a day ago. Therefore, the friend wondered why the knights were mobilizing so quickly. Kyril knew that the Rhynites remained neutral, but also supported Oliver. He speculated that there might be other plans in motion that he wasn't aware of. Considering investigating further, he said, realizing that he currently had limited options and didn't want to cause trouble without reason, he decided to stick to his own plans for now. As he looked up, he noticed the Merchant Association building. Ascending the stairs toward the Merchant Association, he knew that to reach the free city of Tador, he had to pass through the Pawnee River, which ran across the continent. Crossing the rapids and facing the monsters in the river would be challenging. Additionally, only one sailor could take him to Tartar through that river. Inside the building, he approached the lady at the desk and expressed his search for a guild or an upper-class individual who could guide him through the Pawning River to Tartar. He handed her a bag of gold coins. Apologizing to Elliot for using his savings, he understood that creating an upper-class guild was impossible given the imminent war. The lady, however, apologized and pushed the gold back to him, explaining that there were no merchants traveling the route. He mentioned this surprised him, and he asked the lady to repeat what she said. Behind him, two men laughed and teased him angrily. He demanded an explanation from the lady, questioning her about Sue and Hajar traveling with the Robart Guild. Japhon Groot. To his surprise, the lady claimed to have never heard of the Robart Guild. The teasing men behind him mockingly asked if he had just woken up from his mother's lap and stated that going to Tartar through the pond and river was suicidal. They further mentioned the lawless harbor ruled by the Golden Lion, wondering who in their right mind would willingly go and die. They're confused about the situation. He turned back to the lady and inquired if it was true that there was no Robart Guild and that she hadn't heard of Sue and Hajar. She affirmed that the Pious to Merchant Association was the only one present, and they had no knowledge of any Robart Guild or Sue and Hajar. Leaving the building, he recollected that when he first met Sue, the latter was already the leader of the Robart Guild. At that time, he was 15 years old, and it was 3 years from now on. He wondered how the guild could have grown so rapidly and become widely known in just 3 years. Suddenly, he heard shouting from a nearby location and noticed a crowd of angry people berating someone for helping immigrants. He managed to slip through the crowd and witnessed the soldier kicking a man. To his shock, he recognized the man being kicked as Soon Hajar and wondered why he was a prisoner. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment part 2 in the comments section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time again.